Thanks for tuning in to the Drive On podcast, where we're focused on giving hope and strength to the entire military community. Whether you're a veteran, active duty, guard, reserve, or a family member, this podcast will share inspirational stories and resources that are useful to you. I'm your host, Scott DeLuzio, and now let's get on with the show. When things go sideways, will you be prepared? Some people are concerned they might have to go for a long time without electricity or even food. That's why I want to introduce you to 4patriots.com. Get preparedness products you can use now, and that could save your life later. My favorite is 4Patriots' new solar generator, the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. It uses the endless free power of the sun to power lights, your TV, medical equipment, even run your fridge. Plus, it's expandable and comes with a free solar panel. Or pick up one of 4Patriots' best-selling survival food kits. Delicious tasting and designed to last for 25 years. They even have kits with real meat, and if the power's out, no worries. Just boil water over a fire, simmer, and serve. You'll enjoy a hot meal and stay safe in a crisis. More smart people than ever are finding 4Patriots. Over 2 million customers trust them, and you might have even seen them on TV. I had the folks at 4Patriots set up a special page for you at 4patriots.com/drive-on so that listeners of this podcast can see this week's discounts and deals before they go away. Go to 4patriots.com/drive-on, but hurry, these deals won't last long. Save more and get peace of mind now by going to 4patriots.com/drive-on. Hey everybody, welcome back to Drive On. I'm your host, Scott DeLuzio, and today my guest is Robin Johnson. Robin is an Army veteran who, after retiring, discovered her new mission in helping people, organizations, and communities with humor. And she's the founder and CEO of the Best Medicine Brigade, which exists to provide veteran and military spouse comedians performance opportunities and heal people with humor. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, but first, welcome to the show, Robin. I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you. That was the nicest intro ever. I want you to take all of that and tell my kids how cool I am. Same way. Maybe they'll respect me.
If they don't know it by now, well, I guess give it some time. I don't know.
They're
They'll
10
figure it
and
out.
13. Yeah, I'm not cool. I am not cool.
No, at that
As my
age,
daughter would
nobody's
say,
cool.
I'm cringe. I'm cringe.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's like you get to a certain age, and you no longer know what your kids are talking about anymore. I'm the same way. Sometimes my kids will say certain things. I'm like, what in the world are you even talking about? Although
Yeah.
looking back, I probably said stuff like that too, and my parents were scratching their heads. But at least ours, I think you could kind of figure it out. Some of the stuff that the kids say
Yeah.
these days, like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. I need a Google Translate. I need a translation.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not like
thanks for
you're trying
having
to
me.
translate from Swahili or something else that like I've never heard of before. It's supposed to be English. I don't know. But
Uh,
anyways, for the listeners who, I don't know, let's say maybe they're living under a rock and they aren't familiar with you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Ohio, OH, and I grew up in a real small town. So I, of course, did what everybody from real small towns is we go to the army, right? We leave to go to the military. Seeking adventure, ended up staying way longer than I planned. I thought it was like going to be a 4-year deal, get in there and get out, but ended up staying a total of 26 years. First, initially in the Ohio National Guard, and then I transitioned to serve a full career on active duty. Met my husband in the army, so I was an army wife as well. Not army wives like the TV show Army Wives, but like a different anyway. We have 2 kids, and now I am living my best life doing comedy, producing comedy, performing it. And then probably my most favorite is facilitating therapeutic humor programs using joke writing, using humor and comedy to reframe negative thought patterns. That is like the most rewarding of all the things.
Before we started this recording, we were kind of joking about how laughter is the best medicine, and you kind of disagreed with that and kind of reframed my mindset of that as well.
Yeah,
But
I was like, "Have you ever had a baby, Scott? Like, come on, everybody knows an epidural is the best medicine. Let's go. Let's be real.
you
Let's
know,
be
I
fair."
I can only go with my wife's experience and the desire for the epidural and Um, uh, the words that she wouldn't want to say in front of our kids that were coming out of her. Yeah, so I guess there's a category of medicines that are the best, and I suppose it depends on the situation you're in. You probably, as you're pushing out a baby, a bowling ball, pushing out of you, you probably don't want a comedian walking in the room. You want the person with the epidural coming in, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My husband thought he was hilarious when I was in labor and I wanted to choke him when we had my daughter. And then he wasn't even there for my son's birth because he was in Afghanistan. So I was like, which is it? Like, I want somebody who's, like, completely annoying me during the process or somebody who's going to be there at all. So
I
guess you have to be
I guess
grateful for the little stuff.
I guess you got kind of have to balance that out and be be grateful for
Yeah.
what you got.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually my first, son, when he was born, I was training to go to Afghanistan. I was in the train up, so I wasn't home, but they flew me back home in order to be there for the birth of my son, and I was totally acting before he was born, I was totally acting like the worst parent in the world because I was running through the airport, I was knocking over little kids, I was getting on that plane one way or the other, I didn't really care, um and I did end up getting there probably about an hour before he was born. It was actually kind
That's
of a
good.
miracle, the way all the logistics had to work out perfectly for me to get there,
Mm.
and ended up being there, but I refrained from the humor, I think, while while I was there.
Well, that's so cool that you got to be there. Like that for it to line up like that is really special. My husband was upset that he couldn't be there for the birth of our son.
Yeah.
And, he was like, "Oh, I'm so upset. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there." And I was like, "Well, I'm pretty sure you were there for the conception, so it's fine. Like, if you're gonna miss one, that's the one not
Now
to miss."
now what scares me is you said, "I'm pretty sure you were there."
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep him on his toes. If you saw our children, you would know I'm just joking because they look
I know.
exactly like their father. I mean, Eg I don't even know if they have any of my DNA at all. Like I was just, like, what do you call it, a surrogate or something just to, like, carry his legacy on because they are identical.
For the listeners who haven't caught on yet, I think we're gonna be injecting a little bit of humor into this episode. We're gonna be joking around, a little bit. The one thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in is we're both Army, and so we can't rag on each other for, the branches and things like that like we
Um,
we usually would do if there was, a Navy or Air Force or even worse, Coast
oh,
Guard
yeah,
on the
for
other side,
especially the Air Force. Like, what do they do
So,
anyways?
before each episode, though, as we, as we get prepared for these episodes, I try to well, I joke with my wife that I I do what I call a little light internet stalking. I'm not a stalker, but I like to take a look at um, social media of each guest and their websites and all that kind of stuff. See if they have anything interesting going on that might be worth discussing on the episode. And looks like you recently
Ooh.
visited the White House for their holiday reception. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
that's right, yeah, super exciting. I
yeah.
really didn't know why I got invited, to be honest with you. I just got this invitation, and, up until the point of getting there, did not realize really kind of what was the reason. So, but then found out when the first lady spoke, she shared that they had invited people who were telling stories in new ways. And that was exciting to be included in that group. We've worked so hard to tell our stories through comedy and through humor and to create opportunities for other veterans and military spouses to do the same. So yeah, it was really nice. And it was beautiful. You know how gorgeous the White House is at Christmas or holiday time.
Oh,
So wonderfully decorated. Everything
mhm.
smells so nice. It was a great time.
It and it looked like it. I watched you post a couple of videos that, showed some of the decorations and things like that around the White House, and it looked
Yeah.
really cool, and really well decorated. But it has to be an honor, to be invited for something that you are doing to help out the veteran community, and helping out, just everyday people with the laughter that they get from some of these comedians that are coming through the program too, right?
Yeah, that's very validating. I mean, I will do VFWs and I just this past weekend donated my time to do a holiday party for a unit on Joint Base Charleston, which is I live here in Charleston, South Carolina. And you do those types of events. and then you get to go to the White House. Then, it's such a, and they're just gonna, and if you've ever done a holiday parade for a bunch of sober airmen who are forced to be in their hangar for a potluck for the holidays, let me tell you, that was a rough crowd. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah. Not that you have to be drunk to laugh, but it's like they're just like this.
right. It's like, it better be good. Like, I'm
Yeah,
here, let's make it
yeah.
good, right? And
No
so no
pressure,
pressure or anything, but
no pressure. They're like, "Who is
I
this army chick anyway?"
I know, right? Like, who invited her, you know?
Yeah, and I
Um,
made fun of them, which was also probably a bad move because I was making fun of the Air Force, but
yeah, it's like 1 on however many people were there, like, that probably is not the best move if you don't want your car messed with in the parking lot, as you're up there, right?
yeah,
Um, a few years ago, my family and I were invited to the White House, and it was for a different, cause. It was, my brother was killed in action in Afghanistan, and so there was a Gold Star family event that was at the White House. So, but when we got the phone call from the White House, like, inviting us there, I was like, "This is a scam." Like, "The who's calling us from the White House? Like, what do we have?"
right.
And so it wasn't until we got, like, the official letter in the mail, like, inviting us, that I was like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe this is real." But I was still
Yeah,
skeptical, like, the whole way there, I was like, "Okay,
mhm.
I'm in Arizona," and so flying all the way across the country and walking up to the White House, I was fully prepared to just be turned away, like, "No, this is a total scam.
Same.
You just wasted all
Same.
your time." Like,
I was like, "Do they
the
know where
that
they
whole
went?"
time, that was going through my head, which is kinda funny, um but anyways, yeah, the holiday thing that you were at, the holiday reception, I mean, that definitely an honor, like you said, validating too, knowing that, um, you're being recognized by, not only the individuals that you're serving, but, like, on a bigger level too, like, from the White House, like, you're getting all this kinda recognition. It's pretty validating, which is pretty awesome, I think.
It is, and
Um
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 you go ahead, go ahead.
I would well, it was really a pinch me moment. I had been to the White House before, but it had been a while. I wasn't even gonna talk about this today, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay.
A year ago, I suffered an injury and had to have minor surgery, and complications from the surgery, I developed, pulmonary embolisms, and I almost died. Like, it was bad. Um, really close call. And I was just, like, there at the White House, and I was like, "A year ago, everything was almost over, and let's fast forward, like, now I'm here at the White House." Like, how cool
Yeah.
is that? I just felt really just grateful, just very grateful, and just taking in the moment of all the people and that I got to spend another year here on Earth, and it really, like, motivated me to work even harder and do even more.
Well, I think moments like that make you realize that we all have an expiration date, if you will, right? Like, there is a limited amount of time, and, um, you might as well make the most of it and
Yeah.
do the best that you can with the time that you have available to you. And so, you hit the ground running, and you're doing some awesome work, obviously. But tell us a little bit about, your experience going from being in the army to discovering kind of the benefits of humor, and how did all of this evolve?
Well, I have wanted to do comedy pretty much my whole life, but I just suppressed it. I just didn't think it was an option for me. And then being a career military officer, I was like, well, I really didn't feel I could be my true authentic self so much of the time because you're not allowed to laugh at certain things that are in it. Like, sometimes my mind is dark and I think it's funny, but it might offend somebody. And especially in cancel culture and offending people, I actually got in trouble. Um, that was the defense commander for something I said. And I'm laughing about it now. At the time, it wasn't too funny, but it is funny. I always had a good sense of humor. I felt like in my circles of friends, my friends knew I was funny, but I just kept staying in and pushing. I wanted to get that 20 years. I wanted to retire, so I had that behind me. And of course, we were deploying all the time. It was a family business for us. We were dual military. I was like, well, we might as well just stick it out. But I think down in like, if I had to really go back in my soul, like in my gut, I knew probably at the 10-year mark that I wanted to do something else besides the army. And I was
Mm,
being pulled. I just didn't have the guts. I was scared, and the army was comfortable. It's what I knew, and it was easier to stay than take that leap and go, "Oh, I'm gonna become a comedian." But I felt like if I would tell people that they would just be like, "Are you crazy? Do you need to go see mental health? What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, and that would be a big leap to go from, a stable, steady career, you're progressing well through the ranks and everything, and then just saying, maybe I don't wanna do this anymore, and I'm gonna go be a comedian." It's like, that probably wouldn't like, if you were to go to a career counselor, that probably wouldn't be the advice that they would give you, right?
No, I don't think they would have encouraged it at all. And even when I got out of the military, everyone said, "Oh, you were logistics. Go work for Amazon. Go work for UPS or FedEx. Do something logistics. Go work for a defense contractor. Go be a GS. Go work for the government." And it was like staying in that same space. I was like,
Mhm,
no, like I don't want to do anything military related or government related or logistics related. And I took a job for a little while working for the Military Women's Memorial, which was wonderful. What a great organization and beautiful venue if you've not been in Arlington National Cemetery. It's wonderful. But even then, like I knew that wasn't my end all be all. I
mhm,
knew this was going to happen at some point. I just was still trying to stay in a safe space.
sure. Well, and that makes sense. You want that safety knowing that there's, a paycheck coming in, that you
Right.
can continue to help, provide for the family and, all those other things. Not that, you, uh, can't branch out and try other new things, but every now and again, it's nice to have that. But y you talk to, a lot of veterans, or I talk to a lot of veterans, through this show and other things that I do, and it's to me, it's interesting to hear the shifts that people take. Like they were in the military, maybe they're a medic, and they get out and they want nothing to do with the medical field, and they go and do something completely different. They go work with, I don't know, cars or whatever. They make a pretty drastic shift from what they were doing to, what they end up doing. And this, I think, is probably one of the biggest shifts I've heard of. Going from logistics, moving equipment and supplies and people and everything like that, and getting from A to B, and maybe there's a seat somewhere in there too. Who knows? You're moving things all over the place. Um, and then you go to, well, actually, maybe it's not that big of a shift because you're moving emotions, you're moving laughter. I don't know. Maybe there is some connection there. I don't know. That
No,
might be a
it was a
stretch.
big shift. It was night and day, night and day.
Yeah, I was gonna, as I'm saying that, I was like, this sounds stupid. This is a big stretch, but I'm gonna finish my thought so I don't sound like a babbling idiot. But I ended up sounding like an idiot anyway, so that's okay. Um, so
You're all good.
I can laugh at myself though. It's fine. I don't care. It's fine. Um, so what inspired you to create the Best Medics Medicine Brigade, and tell us about the work that you do with that?
Well, really, it was I wanted to give more veterans and military spouses an opportunity to tell their stories through comedy. It is one of the toughest industries to break into. I mean, the model's changing somewhat. I mean, it used to be, you kind of start off in the lower levels, you're just grinding out dive bars and doing open mics, and then you slowly move up to being an opening act, and then a feature act, and then a headlining act. But getting that break or stage time is tough. So I
Yeah,
wanted to figure out a way. I was, you know what, we're stronger together than solo. So why don't we have a community of us that are trying to do this and work together and kind of create a name for ourselves? When I first started Best Medicine Brigade, I wanted it to be the best of the best, and I wanted that when people were looking for a military affiliated comedian or comedian of any kind, I wanted them to go, "Oh, let's call Best Brigade. They've got great talent. Let's, hire them for our next event." And that's how it was started. But now we're starting to evolve into comedians of all levels of experience. But the original Best Medicine Brigade was all very successful, very professional comedians that do this for a living. This is their business. But now we're opening it up a little wider in 2024. Basically, if you're anybody who's military affiliated, a dependent, or a veteran yourself, or currently serving, and you want to pursue comedy, we are a community for you. There are some people that I do book and work with that are ready for that, but not everybody is. And I didn't want to leave out the people who were just trying to get started.
So for the people who are just trying to get started, what does that look like for them? Maybe they've never done any sort of comedy on their own, but they want to. They know that that's something that they want to do. What does it look like when they kind of approach you, and what can they look forward to?
Well, one, I think you need to take some sort of class. I mean, people can be naturally funny, but comedy is an art form and it is extremely precise and it's a lot harder than it looks. And it's not even about stage fright or confidence getting up there. That's a big part of it. Like if you can get on stage and hold a microphone and be just present, that's a huge win. But this is an art form that takes a lot of practice. So I would say take a class, whether I love, love, love Armed Services Arts Partnership, asap.org. They have a comedy boot camp as well as other courses you can take, but that's probably the best one that I know that's around that is no cost to veterans. They do such amazing things in the community through arts, with veterans and bridging that signal divide. There's other ones though. I mean, most comedy clubs offer courses. There's online courses. There's, famous comedians who do master class. But at the end of the day, you have to learn the science of joke writing. There is a formula. There is a way to do jokes. You also have to learn timing and how use your body, your physicality on stage. There is so much that goes into it. Yeah, it's kind of like saying, "Hey, I want to be an NFL player," and you're like, "Okay, that's a great goal, but you have to practice. You have to watch tape back. You have to have special coaching. You have to train to be in the gym. It's a whole thing." Now, if that's if you want to do it professionally, if you just want to have it as a hobby, different story. You could treat it like you treat going to yoga or playing golf. You could just go have fun with it. But if you really want to do this as a profession, it is a full time endeavor.
Well, if I treat it like I treat playing golf, there's going to be a lot of drinking involved, so that it might make it funnier.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in
or
comedy.
or it might be a total flop too. Who knows? Because
Yeah.
that's the way my golf game goes. It could be really great one day. It could be totally terrible the next. So, um, you know,
Don't worry, that's how I feel
um,
about my comedy too.
well, and that's true. Not like I guess just thinking of the folks who maybe are just getting into it. If you go out and you have a flop, doesn't mean that the next time it's going to be a flop, because you probably learned something from that experience too, and you can take it and improve your performance and take it from there. But you're right. There's all sorts of levels. There's people who've been doing it professionally for the longest time, and they have had time to refine their performance and everything like that. But there's also people um, who uh, need those classes and need that little extra help just to get them to that first step of stepping on the stage for the first time. Because you don't want to just walk out
Right.
there and be totally devastated when nobody's laughing, or worse, they're booing you off the stage because you're just not delivering it in a way, like you said, there's a formula in a way that is going to generate the laughs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so from what you've seen, working with some of these people, how does the humor serve as a tool to improve their, uh, I don't know, maybe their mental health, their mental well being, and um, you know, reframing maybe negative thoughts and things like that.
I mean, it's just like you've watched Jim Gaffigan, Jerry Seinfeld, like any great comedian. They take normal everyday life and they make fun of it. And when
Hmm.
you do that, you feel more optimistic about outcomes. You feel more control. It makes situations that are terrible seem less terrible. I mean, Jim Gaffigan, one of my favorite things that he does is he talks about his wife's brain tumor. That's a pretty serious thing,
Yeah.
and he makes light of it in such a tasteful way, but still kind of dark and kind of funny. And he said, "Yeah, like the doctor said it was like the size of a pear." And he goes, "But the worst is grapefruit, like the grapefruit tumor the size of grapefruit is the worst kind of tumor. which makes sense because grapefruit's the worst fruit. And it's just a funny joke. And then he goes on to say, like, do you ever wonder like why doctors are talking about tumors like as fruit? Like, who decided that we didn't know what centimeters are? So it's just really clever. And that's the thing about using humor in joke writing and comedy is you take something that might really be a trigger or upsetting and you just flip it. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
well, what's funny about this? How can I laugh about it instead of get angry? And then by doing that, you train your mind. I don't like to say mental health, resiliency. When we
sure.
say suicide prevention, I like to say psychological performance. And one of the people that I work with in developing the program is a mental skills coach for the Colorado Rockies, Dr. Doug Chadwick. And it's really like treating people like they're athletes
Mhm.
and life is a sport. Okay. How do we toughen up that mind to be stronger? And we do that by giving them these tools to rethink and re-see things in their day to day life.
I like how you said that psychological, performance and trying to get, um, your mind right with that, and, um, you know, the jokes can be about things that are serious, and, some of the best jokes some of the things that I find myself laughing at the most are those serious type of things. Um, even just everyday situations in your own life, you can just find things that are funny.
Yeah, of
Like my
course.
son, just talking of tumors, my son had a growth, in his leg, and they did the X-rays and the scans and all that kinda stuff, and, on uh, the X-ray, you take a look at it, and it kind of looked like a head of broccoli, like, at the top of it, right? And when he was younger, he was unique in this way. He loved eating broccoli as a little kid. I mean, he's 14 now, but, he loved eating broccoli, and even still, he'll eat it up, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's just it makes sense because you just ate so much broccoli, it just started growing inside of you," right? It's like kinda like,
Yeah, that's
when
great.
you're little, your parents might have told you, "If you eat the seeds of a watermelon, you're gonna get a watermelon growing inside of you." So I was kinda just making a joke like that, but um, to the same point, that you were talking about before about, like, using fruits or, vegetables or whatever to describe the size of these different growths, um, instead of using, like, centimeters or whatever, like, we can't
Yeah,
figure that out. It's like, the other thing we said was, Americans will use anything other than the metric system to describe the size of
right.
something.
That's so true. That's so true. The realization that this was a best medicine, or really, it's not really the best medicine. Like we said, it's
Sure.
up to, but my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer, and, we were all caregiving for her, and it was, hard to see her go through the chemo and through the treatments and to, struggle, but I would try to make her laugh, and even when it was, like, the hardest situations, at one point, we had to call 911, and when the paramedics came, she was in quite a bit of pain, so I was holding her hand, trying to comfort her while she was, while they were taking vitals and such. And I squeezed her hand and I said, Kathy, if I would have known how sexy these paramedics were going to be, I would have pushed you down those stairs a long time ago." And she just started laughing because, of course, I didn't push her down the stairs. She had fallen, but and she just started laughing, and, for a moment, I believe that she wasn't thinking about her being like, it was a welcome distraction.
Sure.
Um, and I think that's when it started and it clicked to me. That was in like the fall of 21, and she passed in January of 22. And that's when I resigned from the Military Women's Memorial and said, I have to help more people than just my mother-in-law work through their pain and their challenges. I knew without a doubt that was my calling. And I said, I got to be brave enough. And it was really her because one of the last things, actually, I think it's the last thing she ever said to me is she squeezed my hand and she said, "Thank you for making me laugh. You need to do this for more people." And that was it. That was like my marching orders. It was like, "Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am." Like, and so I just felt like that was a sign and it had to be done. And interesting enough, she passed on 1/22/22, and then a good friend of mine passed from suicide on 6/22/22. And like, everything along the way, the number 22 has just been
Mhm.
present, so I don't know, maybe this podcast needs to air on the 22nd. I don't know.
Well, we can maybe play around with the schedule and see if we can get that out on the 22nd, or,
It's
you know,
okay.
maybe we can hold off until, like, the episode number has 22 in it somewhere or something like that. Maybe we can get it out there, um but it is interesting how you get those, you get that calling. You know, someone says something and it just kinda triggers something. It's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm meant to do." Um, and here you are, and you're still doing this, and you're putting out, um, you know, great effort to get all these people out there using comedy, um, you know, in a great way, right? And you mentioned, um, hilarious as well earlier, I believe, and
Yeah.
how you use the humor to improve, you know, mental health and all that type of stuff. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and how that works?
Yeah. Best Medicine Brigade is a comedy production company, talent management company. So I manage Ashley Gutermost. If you know her, she's pretty popular comedian out there. She's Air Force Pass of the Year, wonderfully talented. But then we have a whole group of comedians and we travel around the world. We're actually getting ready to do 9 shows in Japan and
Oh, wow.
13 in Europe. So we're really being requested a lot, and not just for military audiences. We're really doing shows for everybody, corporate America, whoever will have us. So we're doing a lot of stuff there. But hilarious is a workshop or keynote speaking event. Um, so I do that. I teach for the Institute for Defense and Business. I do a problem framing through humor course. I also do improvisation course that's for business leaders. And these workshops and these speeches are about healing through humor in the sense of how do you get those tools in your kit bag to strengthen your psychological performance. It's very much based on a lot of things, just like I mentioned earlier about being an athlete and training your mind. But it's
Mhm.
fun too. Like it's educational and entertaining. It's very infused with a lot of comedy. So we're actually booking 2024 now, and it's so busy, but it makes my heart happy. I did a TEDx on it for the Department of Veteran Affairs this year, which comes out soon. And ever since then, people are like, "What is this? Like, we want to talk more about this." And it's not just like I said, it's not just for veterans, first responders, nurses, teachers, like any demographic that just needs a pick me up because life is hard.
It is, and especially I think during the pandemic the last few years, things got unnecessarily harder for some people where people were isolated and kept away from other people, and it just was wearing on a lot of people, and unfortunately, they had nobody to turn to. They had no, you know, they had social media maybe to go on to and scrolling through that, but it's like there's no physical in-person, you know, conversations that were happening. It was all over
Mhm.
Zoom or, you know, whatever your video platform of choice is, but, you know, that's about as good as it got for some people, and so, you know, people's mental health kinda took a toll, during that time, and now that
Sure
we're
did.
able to, you know, do a little bit more, than we were before, then, you know, you're able to get out there and, um, uh, you know, share the humor and enjoy the laughter and everything and laugh together because, you know, yeah, stuff might be serious, but you can also make it pretty funny, you know, which I think is great. Um, for the folks who are looking to get involved with, like Best Medicine Brigade and, you know, see if there's any opportunities for them to, you know, be supported through that, what are some of the steps that they might have to take to get in there? Obviously, you mentioned, you know, for starting off, you know, take some lessons, but, you know, if someone's a little further along the path, you know, are there opportunities for them to, be represented or get involved somehow, with the organization?
Yeah, we are getting ready to redo our website in next year. And so it's going to be very much a community of support. But there's also gonna be a place where they can put their headshot, their bio, and a link to their video, which is essentially telling people who wanna book them, like, what their comedy is like, and then, an email or website to where they could reach out to them directly so that we're not the middle person. If they want now, I produce quite a bit of or I was hearing a bunch of feedback, so just giving it a minute.
Okay. Yep.
I produce quite a few shows myself, and I do use the talent from the Brigade, but it's pretty competitive. It's a pretty I mean, I rarely will give opportunities to beginners for a paid show. For when I have a client who's asking me to come in to do a showcase, I want people who've got lots of experience and who are doing it. But every once in a while, I'll put in a newbie in just for 5 minutes as an opener, just to give them that practice, to give them that rep. Um, but it just depends on what the level of the show is. Is it something that I'm doing for free and just to get the word out, or is it like a client that's paid good money for to see a good show, and then I've got to bring the A game. I got to bring my A-list comedians for
That's
that.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So you're looking to, kind of book out these shows and kind of match the talent to, the shows that
Right.
they're looking for, right? So
Yeah.
um now are there any, mental health providers involved with the process of creating any of the programs that you offer?
Yeah. Actually, Dr. Jeff McNeil, he was the longest serving Army operational psychologist. He just retired. He is one of my clinical advisors. It really helps on that because I'm not a physician, I'm not a
Mhm.
psychologist or mental health professional. And then Dr. Doug Chadwick, who is the mental skills coach for the Colorado Rockies, West Point graduate. Both of them are, for some reason, I don't know why I don't have any other branches of service yet. Not yet. But they're both advisors. And again, like I really rely on them to help make the program um, just more credible and make sure I'm approaching it correct. We don't claim to be treating patients.
Right.
I am not offering a substitute or replacement for traditional therapies. This is designed to complement traditional therapy. It's supposed to be an extra thing to do, just like going to yoga or meditation or doing Tai Chi isn't going to cure depression, but it is going to give you relaxation. It's going to give you focus. It's going to give you an outlet. So I like to think that it's an enhancement to an existing like whole health wellness protocol.
Yeah, and I think with any sort of uh, supplement to, a therapy or mental health program that you might be involved in, whether it's painting or songwriting or gardening or comedy, no matter what the medium is that you're using, I think the benefit that you get from it, at least from the conversations that I've had with other people who have utilized some of these other modalities, they you're present, you're in the moment at that point. Your mind's not drifting off to, uh, you know, the negative things that you might have in your mind. You're here and you're in the moment. And with comedy, you're in a funny place, and it's kind of hard to be depressed when you're laughing or making other people
Right.
laugh, and in that kind of
True.
situation,
Facts.
makes it, almost, you know, I don't want to say depression proof. That's probably not the correct clinical term, but I'm not a doctor either, so I'm going to use it.
Well, even if you're not doing this for mental health, it makes you a better leader
Yeah.
because being funny or humorous or having a touch of humor makes you a little vulnerable, but also it builds trust within an organization. It also is just really good. There's a lot of physical benefits to laughter, but like biological benefits to laughing, especially for like decreasing, stress hormones. And yeah, I feel like sometimes we're like, "Oh, laughter, ha ha ha," like it's good for you. Okay, that's blah, blah. But it's really good for an organization to laugh together. That's why I love comedy shows. If you go into a comedy club, it's intimate, right? You ever been to a comedy club that's spaced out?
Mm,
No, it's not. They
yeah.
pack it like sardines. They want to get as many seats in there. It's tight because there's something about the experience, and they dim the lights. It's always dark, right? And the lights all on the stage because people feel safer when they feel like nobody else can see them. There's some psychology behind why the lights are supposed to be darker and also for the lighting folks. But, um, and then the reason that it's so powerful is that laughter just goes through like a wave of energy through the space. And there's something so wonderful about laughing together. You ever be next to somebody that laughs and they have like a funny laugh, like a unique laugh, and then that makes you laugh harder because of the way they're laughing at the thing that was funny? It's
Yep.
an experience. So that's why I like doing these for corporate audiences too, like for conferences and stuff. Cause I'm like, don't count yourself out. This is a great, I usually get booked to go right after lunch or like to either open or close the session.
Mhm.
Okay. And then sometimes they'll book me during the day to do the speaking. And then in the evenings, I'll do the comedy show.
Yeah,
That's fine.
and you get that, I don't know if camaraderie is the right word, but when you're together in a session like that where there is, this funny situation going on, you kind of bond a little bit more too, right? Like if you're there with those people who you can laugh about it years later. Remember that, that joke that so and so told, and you can laugh about it. And I think that's just even in everyday situation. You don't have to go to a comedy club necessarily to enjoy that. You can get that kind of benefit just through everyday situations that are just funny, right?
Yeah, there's some risk aversion though. I mean, I still see a lot of leaders in government that are afraid of comedy. They're afraid somebody's going to get offended. Uh, so there's that. I mean, our Best Medicine Brigade shows can be corporate clean. I do a lot of corporate stuff, so I have to be corporate clean for that. But I am by trade, I would consider myself a PG-13 comedian. My jokes are edgy. I don't typically swear or do anything raunchy, but I've got some edgy jokes that are like adult related, but they're nothing like, some of the comedians that are really out there. We have comedians that do everything. I have some comedians who are church clean. I've got a handful, not very many. I have a bunch that are corporate clean, and then I have PG-13 and then R as well. But really, in order to be in the brigade, my kind of bar is that if you can't do 20 solid, good minutes of clean, you're probably not ready to perform with the brigade because it is so much harder to be clean than to be dirty as a comic. That doesn't mean you have to be always clean. It just means you have to be able to be clean for 20 minutes.
Yeah, the raunchy side is almost like a cheat code for comedy because it's unexpected sometimes, and that's what makes things funny. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I guess we're going here, and
Yeah,
that's where the situation is, right?
it's so subjective. And, there's people who love different comedians and different styles. There's people who can't stand, I mean, I know somebody who can't stand, um, Bert Kreischer. I know people who can't stand, you know, what's her name? Wanda. But anyway, because of the sound of her, I mean, I love them all. I appreciate all of their art forms,
Yeah.
but there's some that are just not my style. Like I wouldn't say certain things. Like I'm not a Whitney Cummings, right? I'm not going to talk about my personal female areas the way she does. That's not me. But I think
Mhm.
she's very talented, and I can see some people like her, some people don't. But it is very subjective, and there are people who don't like my comedy, and there's people who love my comedy. So to each their own. I hate broccoli. Clearly, your son likes broccoli. So we all know what we
And
like and don't like.
yeah, and it's like music choices too. Like some people like country, some people like rock, some people like, metal or, alternative, whatever kind of things. It's like it doesn't mean that any of that other stuff is bad. It's just not for you. And same thing with comedy, I suppose, is that there's certain comedians that, and I know what you're talking about too, because there's some comedians I've heard and I'm like, it's not even funny. I just don't get it, and there's others that um I laugh probably harder than I should, and it's great. Um, so where can people go to get in touch with you, learn more about Best Medicine Brigade if they wanna maybe if they wanna book, some of the talent that's there, or, um, uh, anyone who wants to get involved with, Hilarious as well, where can people go?
Yes, bestmedicinebrigade.com, and they can go and see most of our talents on there now. We still have some people we're adding to the roster there, but that's the best place. Ashley Gutermo, the whole team there, we're all ready to go for 2024. I recommend booking early, especially for some of our highly requested comics. Like, they're already booking some into 2025.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and it's always Military Appreciation Month and Veterans Day. I wanted to say, even though they're military affiliated, I would say like 80% of their material is not about their military experience. I mean, you take Ashley, uh, for example, or Dwayne White or PT, but they talk about so many other topics than just the military. So I wouldn't necessarily pigeonhole them into that. Yeah, and then hilarious.org, that's HEALARIUS.org. That is where they can find information on the therapeutic humor side of things. Yeah, I would love to come do some workshops. I'm actually trying to do more speaking this year than I am comedy shows. I don't know if that's gonna work out for long term because every time I say that, I get like more bookings to do comedy. I'm like, well, well,
I think you're secretly trying to get more bookings for comedy, and you're just saying
that's
this so so
no,
you can get it.
I love speaking to at conferences and events and for corporate audiences. How most companies have like a veterans affinity group or employee resource
Mhm.
group. I love those, but I keep getting calls to do comedy, and I'm like, man. And the talks are funny. They have jokes on them too.
Well, so you're getting a little bit of the best of both worlds in the talk.
Yeah,
So,
I
um,
know.
for for any of the listeners who might be involved with any of those types of groups that would be interested in these types of talks, definitely reach out. I'll have the links for both the Best Medicine Brigade and Hilarious in the show notes of this episode, so you can check that out and um, get involved or reach out and book somebody if that's what you're looking for. Um, but but definitely utilize that talent because it's out there. They're funny, and it's maybe a different way to enhance a corporate event or something like that, which might otherwise be kind of dry. But you introduce comedy, and then everybody um, kind of gets a little more loose, and they might be able to make the rest of what might otherwise be pretty dry might make it pretty fun. So,
Yes.
definitely consider incorporating that. Right?
Thank you. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think they should. We all need to have some more humor in our life.
exactly.
If
Um,
at worst case, you learn to tell a better story at a dinner party, or you get like to enhance your own speaking with a little humor.
yeah, and everybody wins. I think with that, right? As long as there's humor going on, um, we all win. When things go sideways, will you be prepared? Some people are concerned they might have to go for a long time without electricity or even food. That's why I want to introduce you to 4patriots.com. Get preparedness products you can use now and that could save your life later. My favorite is 4Patriots' new solar generator, the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. It uses the endless free power of the sun to power lights, your TV, medical equipment, even run your fridge. Plus, it's expandable and comes with a free solar panel. Or pick up one of 4Patriots' best-selling survival food kits. Delicious tasting and designed to last for 25 years. They even have kits with real meat, and if the power's out, no worries. Just boil water over a fire, simmer, and serve. You'll enjoy a hot meal and stay safe in a crisis. More smart people than ever are finding 4Patriots. Over 2 million customers trust them, and you might have even seen them on TV. I had the folks at 4Patriots set up a special page for you at 4patriots.com/drive on so that listeners of this podcast can see this week's discounts and deals before they go away. Go to 4patriots.com/drive on, but hurry, these deals won't last long. Save more and get peace of mind now by going to 4patriots.com/drive on. So, I want to um, do another segment here that is
Okay.
called um, Is It Service Connected? And this is a little bit, this is a way I introduce humor into a lot of the episodes that I
Okay.
do. Sometimes the episodes can be kind of heavy, a little dark, and it helps to lighten the mood a little bit at the end and introduce a little bit of humor. But I created this segment, Is It Service Connected? And if you're not familiar with it, Is It Service Connected is basically like America's Funniest Home Videos, military edition, where we watch something funny or stupid that service members do, and then we laugh about it first, and then we try to see if there's any possibility for service connection disability or anything like that, because a lot of times these people are slipping on ice, or they're, falling down the stairs or doing
Yeah.
something stupid that we can always laugh about. I don't think anyone gets too seriously injured, but again, I'm not there, so I don't really know. But I'm going to share this video with you right now that
Do
we
it.
have, and it's a um, for the audio only podcast listeners. I'll try to describe it as best as I can. It's a short clip here. Looks like we're looking out the side of a helicopter flying over maybe desert landscape, and we'll see what happens. So let's take a look. Okay, we got. Oh, he's nodding off. We got a nodder, and there goes his
Oh,
iPro.
snap.
And he just realizes it, and he realized.
Oh, man.
So he's flying with no iPro, so that
And
is
no
probably
reflective
not.
belt for that matter.
What's that?
Where is his reflective belt?
Yeah, and he doesn't have his reflective belt, which would have protected him against anything anyways,
Right.
so he should have had that at least, um, but yeah, the iPro goes flying off. I don't know how it didn't, like, fly off everybody else. Maybe they were, like, constantly adjusting and fixing it,
Yeah, he
but yeah,
might have, you know how you
he
always
was
were
nodding
losing
off
the
too,
plastic
so
things?
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because
Um,
the nose grip. People were always missing or losing their nose grips. Um, yeah. Remember the Sundust wind goggles, the big ones that had, like, the foam around them, and they had the
oh, yeah.
band, and you had to wear them for, like, aerosol at school, and I don't know what else I wore them for, but I used them a lot on deployments because of the sandstorms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember some of the sandstorms that would come through, and, just, like, breathing that, oh, I can, like, taste it still,
Terrible.
and we
Yes.
had these we before we left, just in, like, one of the PXs that we happened to go into, I saw these, like, neck gaiter things, and something just triggered me. I was like, "I should get something like this. I might need it, to cover up my face or something." And so, once I realized that there was these dust storms that would come through, which I had never experienced anything like that before going on deployment,
Yeah,
um,
me either.
I put the thing up, so it was like a little bit of protection. It wasn't great, but then that with the goggles that you were just talking about, um,
Mhm.
helped protect a little bit, from some of that dust. But man, that was gross. But
And then you would
yeah, he's
take the
flying.
goggles off, and you would have, like, the outline of where you would
Oh,
have
yeah. Yeah,
a
your
skin
face would
or
be
peel.
disgusting, dirty, covered in dust, and then, like,
Yes.
everything, like, around the eyes. It's almost like a reverse raccoon, um,
Yeah.
because it's all, like, clean
No,
here and
it's
dark all over here, from all the dust. It
the
was gross.
worst
And
worst weather I've ever been in was a sandstorm in Kuwait. It
oh, really?
was, yeah, terrible. I mean, and then, in Iraq we had them too, but for whatever reason, it was in Kuwait, and it was '03. It was right before the invasion. Yeah, '03.
Yeah, and, um I was in Afghanistan in 2010, and part of our mission was securing the one of the border areas between Pakistan and Afghanistan, allowing vehicles to pass through primarily, because that was like a main uh, point where the NATO supplies would come in from.
Mhm.
They get offloaded on ships in Pakistan. They drive through, and that's where they would come through. So we kind of had to secure that area. Um, and we couldn't really move from that area, like, that was where we were stationed and positioned there, and I remember standing there, seeing the dust storm coming towards us and just like, "Well, this is about to suck." Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna have, like, 0 visibility, and we're outside the wire, we don't know who's walking up to us, it was kinda nerve-wracking, when you have that kinda visibility, reduction, um and you can't really do
Yeah,
anything about it.
you couldn't drive anywhere, you had to walk everywhere, and you couldn't see where you were going. Like, we would form a chain and hold on to each other because and then I remember one time I ran into concertina wire or triple
Mm,
strand because I didn't couldn't s I was disoriented because I couldn't see where I was going. That was terrible, got stuck in that thing. Yeah. You can't even see
and I
like, this close.
no, I know, you could barely see, like, if you had your hand, like, this close, like, just a couple inches away from your face, you couldn't see it because it was just so thick. But, I know, I've been on many helicopters, during that deployment as well, and I know when they land in a dusty area, which that video looked like it was kind of dusty underneath. That sand
Yeah,
is
that's a lot of
kicking up.
sand.
So I'm guessing that
Right
guy,
on.
as he's getting off that helicopter, he's probably getting some sand in his eyes.
I
If
know
he's not,
scratched retina, I feel like it's service connected. I don't
I
know,
think so.
inhale you. I think so.
You know,
I'm gonna go with
they
like,
didn't get
at
him
least
glasses that fit
30%.
good enough. You know, they had to make sure that those glasses fit, and they clearly didn't. I mean, yeah, he was nodding off, but maybe
I
that's
could
another. Maybe
probably
he had some
buy a
sleep
nice
condition too.
car. What was that?
Maybe he has some sleep condition too that could be surface connected.
Sleep there you go. That video is his evidence for his gay claim for some sleep underlying sleep disorders. He's about to get
There it is.
100% right there, that kid.
That
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yes. And yeah, I'm all for it.
I'm for it too. Why not? Anyways, thank you again for taking the time
Yeah.
to join us, to share a few laughs, and for all the work that you do to help bring comedy and help out folks in the process
Thank you.
to get their comedy out there into the world. So thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you, Scott, for having me on here. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for listening to the Drive On podcast. If you want to support the show, please check out Scott's book, Surviving Son, on Amazon. All of the sales from that book go directly back into this podcast and work to help veterans in need. You can also follow the Drive On podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts.